Hello everyone, I'm ready to start a new video for you. Thank you for participating. It's called the Tree of Life and we're using glass, frit, sheet glass, and stringer and something else called ribbons, all made of glass to create this. So once you do decide to do this, you'll get a kit, and inside the kit you will see a piece of glass, clear glass. There's a rough side and a smooth side. Doesn't matter which side you use. I often will use the rough side if I'm using frit so that the frit doesn't roll around as much, but that's up to you. You'll get some, a little 2-inch piece of black glass ribbon, and that's a little thicker. It's going to be used for your tree trunk. You will get 3 pieces of stringer. These are skinny little strips of glass, kind of like thin spaghetti. And then you'll get 3 colors of frit. Frit is like little pieces of glitter, but it's made of glass. Along with that, you'll get clear glue. You'll get a small little paintbrush and a tiny little spoon. Instructions, obviously, at the bottom. The other piece of this that you won't get that you might want to use are tweezers. These tweezers were made for frit, for using with frit, so it's like a shovel at one end and tweezers at the other. But any type of tweezer that you might use for hygiene is great. So that's up to you though. So you're going to start with your clear piece, and you can either hold it the portrait or the landscape, which means the tall way or the short way. For this one, I'm going to use it and do it the short way, so the landscape way. And the first thing I want to do is glue down my trunk. So you don't need a lot of glue to do this. You only need a small, skinny little line of glue, because I'm building my tree right now, and trees grow from the trunk. And I'm placing it in the center, so it grows from the ground up to the center. Now, a tree of life is a full tree that grows from that trunk with the branches from that. So these are going to be my branches. So if you look at this, these are really thin, and you can break them with your fingers. Just take your index finger and your thumb and pull, and it breaks apart really easily. So you can do that and have straight branches coming out from the trunk. And you can cut it twice or 3 times. You can see how it's starting to look like a tree. Or, here's a fancy smancy little way of doing it. These little skinny pieces of glass bend fairly easily in heat. So what kind of heat do you have in your house? The best way to do this, using anything from your home, is a candle. And a candle will work really well. So now, if you're younger and you've done this project, you've bought this project, you need to have a parental assistance. So be careful with that. If you're an older participant, I'll trust you to use your candles carefully. So I've got one burning already. And you want to be able to have a candle that you can get into the flame, not with your fingers, but with the glass itself. The other thing that you want to have on hand is either a cake pan or a cookie sheet, something. Here's my cookie sheet. They'll withstand the heat because your little pieces are going to be hot when you use them in the heat, in the stringer. Put your stringers in the heat. So the reason we're doing this is to bend them and to make them curve. So if you don't want just straight lines, you can bend these and make curves out of them. So I'm using one of my pieces that I didn't break, because you don't want to do the short ones, because you'll get your fingers closer to the flame. Here I'm holding each end of my stringer, and I'm just pushing it through the flame and then slowly bending it. You see how it starts to bend? Ooh. And then I can curve it just a little bit. And it comes out really wavy and curvy. Notice how I'm doing the center. You see? Look at. See how it's bending? I like a really natural look of a branch. And I'm going at this end, and I haven't gotten my fingers close to the flame, so be very careful not to do that. And I'm just bringing it along, and if I'm pulling on it, I'm doing it very, very gently and slowly, or else your glass will break. Don't want to get too close to my fingers. And now what I can do, I'm going back to the center now that I have it all wavy and curvy the way that I want to. I'm going to go back to the center and I'm going to pull. Gently pull it. So see what happens? I don't know if you can see that. Now I'm going to place it down on my cookie sheet. And I'll do it again. You can see how far down into the flame I've gone. Now, if you don't have to do this, you can just use straight stringer. In fact, my sample that I made and I'm going to show you is just using straight stringer. And it looks fine. It looks lovely as far as I can tell. I kind of like it. Or you could use a combination of straight and wavy. That's up to you. Every time I breathe, you can see the flame kind of moving. All right, now I'm ready to pull it apart. Just gently pulling it apart. Fine. So here are my stringers. I don't know if you can see them really well. Before I'll pick them up though, I'm going to wait for them to cool down. It doesn't take too long, but I'm going to wait for them to cool down. The other part of this is you'll get some soot on the end of the stringer. Don't worry about that. That'll burn off in the kiln, and you don't have to clean that off. So I'm going to start with my straight ones, and how I'm going to glue it down is I'm just going to put a dot at each end and place it on top of the dot. And that'll hold it in place. And they are growing out of the trunk. You see that? So now I'm going to use my curvy pieces. And I'm actually going to break the end and then have a straight branch and a curvy branch combination. Now, the curvy branch may not lay down on the clear glass flat. It might come up and down because of the way that it got pulled. Don't worry about it. When we put it in the kiln, it will flatten out. It'll melt down and melt into the clear glass. But you still have to glue it down. And if you notice, I'm not using a lot of glue. Don't use a lot of glue because then it will move around on you. Yeah, carefully placing it. Oh, there's my fingers moving it. So I broke that one, but this one, maybe, I think I will still break it. It's kind of long. Break that one. And you don't have to glue them all, right away. What you could also do is just place them and see if you like them and then glue them. That's kind of pretty that way. I like that. Oh, I like that even better. Okay. So I'm going to place that little tiny bit of glue. So when you glue the curvy piece, it's going to be hard because some parts of it is up in the air. When you're gluing, make sure you glue the part that's touching the clear glass, obviously. So this one is really crookedy. Crookedy, that's a good word. So what I'll do is I'm going to place this one in the center, I think, because I kind of like that one a lot. Oh, it's hard. Oh, yes, I got tweezers. If you have tweezers, there you go. It makes it even easier. Oh yeah, I like it there. So rather than pick it up, because it took me a while to get it in that spot, I'm just going to put a little dot on top and have it sink down around the stringer. I think that's a new one. Yeah. Oh, I got one more. Now, if you have enough without using them all, you don't have to use them all if you don't want to. Just put it back in the tray and then send it back. That's up to you. But I like using all of my stringers. Breaking this one down. There we go. My curvy ones are harder to stay in place, so I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on top. So also these little tiny bits, when I break them, sometimes get little bits of black. I think I'll just move it into the trunk there. All right, so see how my tree has all of the branches on there? So now we need some life in this tree. This looks like a tree in the wintertime. So I'm going to add my leaves, and I'm going to do that using my frit. Now in this kit, I wound up getting a light green, a yellow, and a varied green, which has more dark greens in it. You may get reds or oranges, colors or gold colors, all different fall color leaves. there it is. I'm happy with that. So once it's dry, and that's important that you wait for it to dry. Don't put it back in your box until it's dry, because the glue is, when it's still wet, it's very, very liquidy, and your frit is going to move. So wait for it to dry. Then put it back in the kit and send it back to me. Okay, so here's my kit container. And what I'm going to do is put this nice and flat down the bottom. Because it's dry, I can place things on top of it and things aren't going to move, so I can return the pieces and put the lid on it and send it to me so I can fire it. So here's one of my trees that I did before, and that's after it's been fired, and that I didn't bend any branches at all, and it still looks really nice. Also, if you notice, there's a hook in the top that's been fired on, and that you can hang from a window, or you can hang it in a shelf, or you could put it on one of those little easels that you can buy in the store. So enjoy. Thank you again for taking part in the Tree of Life project, and I wish you luck. Bye-bye.